Welcome back, baseball family, to another episode of the Baseball Together podcast. Today we have current events and yet another special interview. We'll bring it to you right now. 9+ Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together. As I said, welcome back, baseball family. I am Brig, and I'm here as always with our main man, Brad.
That's right.
How are you, Brad?
Good. How are you, Brick?
You know, I'm pretty good, thanks.
Good, and you?
Are
not
you
so
excited?
bad.
Yeah, good, and you? How are you now? Yeah. Are you excited? Are you excited to talk about baseball today?
I'm so excited to talk about baseball today.
Me too.
So excited.
Guess what? Baseball started today.
It did.
I know for those of you listening, it was on Sunday, but today is Sunday, and that's when we're talking about things. And we are so excited about it. I will tell you that my MLB TV subscription didn't work.
What?
Somehow. I don't know. So I tried to get on and listen to the ball games today, and it wouldn't let me.
Oh, my gosh.
I thought, oh, man. Did I share it with too many people? Or like, what happened? I don't know. So I will be contacting customer service.
Oh, my gosh.
And discussing the problem.
So
but
messed up.
also waiting for T-Mobile to give me free MLB TV. I'm very excited about that.
Yes.
If you're a T-Mobile user and you do not know that on T-Mobile Tuesdays they give you free MLB TV, I think it's March 17th or something like that. They're going to give it away. So jump on there and don't take my slot. Okay, good enough. So only 2 of today's spring training games went to 9 innings.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's bad.
It is bad. It's very strange, but it's also it is bad. I don't.
It's bad.
I get it. It's the first day of spring training, and here's the thing: they have special rules this year. I think we're just gonna have to get used to special rules.
Yeah.
So what they said for spring training was, the teams can contact the league office and let them know that they're playing anywhere between 5 and 9 innings. So they can end the game after 5 innings if they let the league know the day before. I think the shortest today was 6 innings. There were a couple of games that went 6, but there were a couple that went 7, a couple went 8. And then the only ones that went 9, you had the Cardinals and Nats tied at 4, and then the Mariners and Padres, the Mariners walked it off 5-4.
Yep.
So I don't even know if those were necessarily planned to go 9, if they were just like, you know what, we're tied, let's go ahead. Because the Mariners and Padres, I want to say, were tied in the 5th.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, so that game was tied for a while before the guy Julio Rodriguez walked it off.
Our guy.
That's right.
Did you say our guy?
I can say our guy. I said my guy, but he can be our guy.
No, just say my. No.
But so I don't like the rule. I don't like that because you've got people paying to come into those games, and I mean, I got my tickets for a couple weeks from now. Wilson and I are going to go to a game, and if we show up and we get to the game, we like I said, we bought our tickets end of February. We're going to go the middle of March, and if we walk in and they say today's game will only be 5 innings, well, I wouldn't have bought today's game if I had known it was only going to be 5 innings.
Exactly.
Granted, I have a 6-year-old who may or may not last the whole time, but I want to have the opportunity to last the whole time.
That could be a cool marketing thing, though. Today's game will be 7 innings, perfect for families. I don't know.
That's true. But you've got to prorate those tickets. I'm not paying full pop for 7 innings.
You do. Nope. Well, I got to tell you, I got the news today that our tickets were canceled.
What?
Yeah. Here's what it says, and this is incredible. I don't know what happened, but the actual announcement, this is from my buddy who's local down in Tampa. He says the seller isn't able to deliver your tickets, which means we had to cancel the order. We're sorry this happened. Canceled the order, blah, 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 all this stuff. I was going to see the Phillies play the Yankees on the, I think it was the 28th. But, so, obviously, we both jump on and try to buy tickets, and guess what? They're all gone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they sold. I know that I got the Mariners pre-sale because I'm a subscriber to their mailing list, and then they were gone within 12 hours of, going on sale with the public. I got another email.
So we had tickets. We had tickets, and now we can't go.
So did you buy them through StubHub? Is that the problem?
I don't know where he bought them. I honestly,
Mm.
but that makes sense
Yeah.
now that you say it that way. I don't know,
That's a bummer, man.
but it's a big bummer anyway. So I'm with you though, even though I'm feeling upset about not being able to go to the game. I at the same time wouldn't pay for 5-inning game at the same rate. I would be upset.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and then beyond
half
that,
the experience.
and beyond that, you're not even getting, you're not even getting 54 outs, right? Or
Right.
27 on each side. However, if you don't play the bottom of the ninth,
You're
whatever.
right, exactly.
But because the other rule that they're doing is the defense can end the inning anytime after the pitcher has thrown 20 pitches. So even if you're playing even if they're playing 9, you're not getting a true 9-inning game. Like, I wanted to see if the Mariners and Padres played a true 9-inning game. I don't think the Mariners even got 2 outs in the top of the first.
Whoa.
Before they called that inning. And
Okay, so Brad, listen. Is this because, like, we know it's cheating the fans, but let's try and talk about it from the players and managers and owners and stuff like those perspectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're to apply some logic to this, obviously it's the first game of spring training, but these rules apply throughout the month.
Right, yeah.
And then there's we're warming up arms and everybody's but pitchers and catchers already reported. Like that's what they were supposed to be doing. So I'm trying really hard to understand why this is okay and who's really benefiting from it. And maybe, it's something we just don't understand, but
Well,
what are your thoughts? Like
this
why,
is the big
why
thing.
these rules?
This is the big thing to me, as far as I understand it, is that they're staggering spring training because they don't want to have 100 guys in the spring training facility all at once. Because
Right.
there are the guys who would have been playing rookie ball or whatever, playing short season A, whatever, wherever they're going to be this year. They're not going to make the big league club. There's no real reason for them to be with the big league club other than to get experience facing big league pitching or pitching to big league batters.
Yeah.
But there are guys who in spring training who don't get with the big league squad. They don't get on that big field. They spend the entire spring and then some on the backfields playing simulated games and things like that. Basically what we're watching now. So those guys are not in camp right now. They're staggering to have those guys wait. Like they're not coming in right now, and so they don't have the arms. Like you can't throw 15 guys in a spring training game this year because you don't have that many guys every single day, and you don't want to, and you definitely don't want to throw a position player in spring training, right? I mean, you run out of pitchers, and then you're like, "Well, we got to bring in second baseman." No, I've seen spring training games end in like the 7th or 8th inning because they're like, "Well, we're out of pitcher, so we're just going to call it a day." And and the other manager's like, "Yeah, it's fine. We don't want anybody to get hurt, so let's just end it." I
mean, that makes sense, and I think the fans should go into it with a certain level of understanding that this is the point, right? We are paying for the privilege of watching these games, quote unquote, because it is a modified everything. Everything's modified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything about it is developmental and assessment, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I think maybe what has happened is we've just gone so many years of it being the same, and we've been given the gift for so many years that now they've stripped it back to what it's essentially supposed to be, and we're going to get huffy about it.
I think you're right, because last year I remember watching when they had those summer camps. I would watch the Mariners scrimmage every day on YouTube because I'm a junkie, and at the end of every inning, they would have the last batter, no matter what happened, they would have him run out the hit. And, if he struck out, they'd have him sprint to second base, and then they would they'd get the pitching machine out in front of the third base dugout, and they'd send a fly ball out to the outfield and work on relays. And that was after the third out of every inning, like regardless.
That's awesome.
So it was cool to see that that's how they run their simulated games. They run their inter-squad scrimmages, and I don't think we'll see anything like that. Like, we won't see anything that informal. But no, you're absolutely right that they're stripping it back, and we're getting more of a look at the approach to exhibition baseball.
which is cool, right? And if we can still view it from a position of gratitude and say, look, we're still paying for the privilege here, right? We're paying for a behind the curtain look at what's going on. If what we see behind the curtain is not what we like, then we don't have to buy a ticket anymore, right?
Yeah, it's true. And, I think I would be more okay with it if the backfields were open and you got the full experience.
Yeah.
You show up, a couple hours early to the game. You go over, you see guys taking batting practice. You get to interact with some of the players, get a ball signed, whatever, get some pictures. And then you go over to the game, get your hot dog, sit down, and then watch the game. And at that point, if they're only playing
5, 6 innings,
5, 6, I'm fine with that. Absolutely.
Right.
Especially, like I said, I've got a 6-year-old with me who's at that point is going to be ready to go.
Toast. By 5, toast. He's out.
Yeah,
Yes.
and a lot of people are. You see a lot of people after 5 or 6 innings get up and go get lunch or an early
Makes
dinner,
perfect
whatever.
sense.
So
right. No.
yeah, I think that's where I
great.
have the issue with it is that they're cutting back the spring training experience so much that it's like it's just a bare bones experience now and has the potential to be like minimal when you're paying full pop.
Yep, and the pay is the problem, right? The cost benefit analysis goes out the window for most fans. But there's always the danger for me, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, but there's always the danger of them going, yeah, well, it worked in spring training and nobody threw a fit. Like, let's just bring it into the regular season. These crazy rules or something. And I don't think, hopefully some of this would never happen, but the fact that it's allowed at all, to me, it just inches closer to a precedent, and that becomes normalized and then accepted.
Well,
so,
7-inning doubleheaders have already been normalized.
exactly. And
I know we talked about how it's nice only having to watch 14 innings in one day, but at the same time, it is a slippery slope.
It is. So that's my only concern. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
We have to talk about teams manipulating service time. It's a hot topic. We talk about it every year. It's never going to go away until it changes, right? Until it does actually go away. So Garrett Cole says that it's actually not helping anybody, right? Like nobody's benefiting from the service time manipulation, but that's not true. What's happening is that the owners and the teams, they're benefiting greatly from this. Let's call it a racket.
Yeah. There you go.
It's sanctioned illegality or whatever.
So, before we get too far into this, then you bring that up. Does the union have cause to bring up charges of racketeering against owners?
Oh. Let us examine the definition of racketeering. I'll look it up right now. You filibuster.
Okay, well, and so this is the thing. This is why this came up. We talked last week about Kevin Mather, the former CEO of the Mariners, because he was talking about how Jared Kelenic didn't sign a long-term deal. Kelenic came out this week and he said, well, they told me they weren't going to call me up in 2020 because I didn't sign that extension. And as a Mariners fan, I was not like super surprised, but still pretty surprised that he did not make it up in the 2020 season. I was expecting to see him last year. And then Kelenic doubled down on that and said, I don't get the impression I'm going to be seeing the big leagues in 2021 until a month in, which is that, that special window like we saw with Chris Bryant with the Cubs.
Yep.
That if they don't get that first month of service time, then they don't get this year. And so the team has an extra year of control on that contract. And so he's saying the Mariners aren't going to call him up until basically May of this season, so they get that extra year on his contract. But I have an easy solution for the Mariners before we get into racketeering break. I have a simple solution. Put Jared Kelenic on the freaking opening day roster. That's all you got to do.
Right.
All you have to do. Keep that extension on the table and say if you want it, you can have it, you can sign it. If not, we'll negotiate when time comes. But here is your full year of service time. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. So in that definition, that's more closely aligned with extortion. Because extortion, the definition of extortion is the practice of obtaining something, especially money, through the force of threat. Right? So it's a coercive tactic.
Yeah.
What they've done is instead of benefiting or obtaining, they're withholding things. for this, but this is their force. This is the threat, right? Like we are not. You will not be called up because you didn't sign an extension. If that's on the record somewhere, there might be a case there. But back to this service time thing, definition of racketeering is simply dishonest or fraudulent business dealings. That's the dictionary definition, and that's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a more robust definition, because that's a really general definition of racketeering. But
it is. But I think that, I mean, I'm like 99 to 100% sure that Kellenick and his agent and the union are going to file a grievance against MLB, and they will win.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% will win. I mean, there's a chance he could possibly get some of last year tacked onto his service time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if he wins an appeal and wins the grievance. But like I said, if they put him on the opening day roster, it's not. I don't feel like it's as big of an issue. All they have to do is admit, okay, we think you're ready, and this is our proof. We're not going to hold you back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think that's what they need to do.
Okay, I just have to get into this a little bit because this is interesting. So, the perpetrators often fraudulently offer a service that will not be put into effect. They offer a service to solve a non-existent problem, or they offer a service that solves a problem that would only exist because of the racket itself. So particularly the potential problem,
day roster.
Yeah, the potential problem may be caused by the same party that offers to solve it for you, but in fact is concealed because there's actually no intent to the problem wouldn't exist if the problem wasn't being presented with a ready-made solution. So this is pretty interesting because that sounds an awful lot like, yeah, actually you can't. We're not going to call you up. Why? Well, you know, it'll cause all these problems. See? Well, what problems? Well,
internally.
You know,
it's all paperwork.
It's all this paperwork stuff, and you wouldn't understand. But really, you know, you and everybody else are going to be a lot better off. See, if you just do it our way. What happens if I don't do it your way? Well, we can't see that's not possible. We're not going to let that happen. Why are you going to let that happen? Because we make all the rules, and we
and
do so
antitrust laws. That too. So.
And what?
Antitrust laws.
Yeah, exactly. So. Exactly.
Oh man, that's.
Oh my goodness.
You know, after reading Bloodsport, I wondered if MLB was a crime syndicate.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to feel more and more that could be a real possibility.
It's
boy.
Pretty intense. And you talk about the wages. You talk about the earning disparity with minor leagues and all the way up, and it's like that's even more evidence. Yep.
Anyway,
right.
Hey Brig, you had a really cool article that compared service time to like real world stuff.
Yeah. Let me pull that up really quick. So
yeah,
I was reading the New York Post.
Oh.
Come on, y'all read the New York Post. Come on. We all know. And it was talking about service time, and this is what it said. It said this great analogy. New York Post, let's see, Joel Sherman is the author. And Joel wrote, imagine you finish at the top of your class at Harvard Law or Johns Hopkins Medical, and you are told at graduation that you are, it just jumped. See these ads? You're told at graduation that you will not be hired for 6 months, not because you are unqualified, but because it is a way for an institution to maintain control over your services for an extended period and limit your earnings, perhaps for your entire career. So, like, that's what this service time thing, to me, that was a really poignant way of bringing it back to the layman, right? To helping anybody understand what's going on.
Well, and not only that, but you can take it a step further and you can say, but every day during that 6 months and beyond, you have the potential as a surgeon to break a finger and never be able to perform surgery again.
That's right.
If that happens before the 6 months, you don't get any of that contract. If it happens during the 6 months, you get like the rest of your pay for that year and that's it. Or,
Yeah.
a lawyer, something happening with his voice or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're not able to perform the job anymore. So, like, not only are they controlling you, but you're at tremendous risk of not actually being able to perform your job.
During that,
like, ever get
gap.
there,
Yeah.
or even perform it going forward. So, no, I thought that was a perfect description.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great way to go.
Me too.
So,
Yeah, that was really intense, and I couldn't really understand what the deal is. Anyway. I don't know. Okay, let's talk about our last topic for today, current event section. This is kind of a back page piece of news, and it shouldn't be, and that's why we wanted to bring it up. Marla Miller has served as Major League Baseball Senior Vice President of Special Events for 21 years, and she is stepping down from her position. And you think, okay, guys, why are we talking about a Senior Vice President of Special Events? Well, what we're about to tell you, okay? So, Marla Miller, she was MLB's first female Senior Vice President, and she has been in charge of planning the All-Star Game, the World Series, any ceremonies and entertainment, including national anthem singers, for 21 years, right? And she has been instrumental in launching the All-Star Fan Fest, the All-Star Red Carpet Show, the All-Century Team, the Memorable Moments campaign, and special events like the Little League Classic, especially the one that was at Fort Bragg in 2016. And this is all from ESPN. I'm reading this list. And even the Field of Dreams game in Iowa. This is all instrumental because of Marla Miller. So you want to take it all the way back. She's also been instrumental and took charge of planning, according to ESPN, the winter meetings and the owners' meetings. So these things that we take for granted, these things that we think have been around forever, and oh my gosh, what a good idea. This is a lot of it has to do with Marla Miller, and after 21 years of service to Major League Baseball, we should, as fans, where her efforts have gone to support, I think, give her a nod.
For sure. Well, and something like the Field of Dreams game.
Yeah.
That we're like, they announced it, and we're like, oh, that's super cool. How's it going to work? I don't know. They'll figure it out. She figures it out.
She figures it out. Yep. Her and her team figure it out. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. And then like the Little League Classic, I don't think there's been anything that's been a better way to get players to interact with Little Leaguers than the Little League Classic, which I know it's a select group of Little Leaguers who get to actually have that experience, but kids seeing that experience is a big deal.
Totally.
And I think that's been one of my favorite things that's come down in Major League Baseball in probably, golly, I don't even know, 20, 25 years, something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I hope they bring in somebody who is as creative and as good at their job as Marla Miller has been, because, like you said, that's a position we've all taken for granted, but we've all enjoyed what she's done.
That's right.
So,
well, and who can
congratulations.
Forget Charlie Blackmon's red carpet walks? I mean, come on. Like, that event was made for him and guys like
That's
him.
True. Yeah.
So I think we should be grateful we have the opportunity to see him in his cutoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, with that, baseball family, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to come at you with a very special interview, and we think you'll enjoy it.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back with me. Root, root, root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Shop kids' baseball shirts at 9plusS.com.
Welcome back, baseball family. We have a special guest with us tonight. We have Jewell Young, actually somebody who I met through the Rays community because of we talk every week about Rays Energy. He and I, we're part of a Rays group on Facebook. So welcome, Jewell. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Great, we're happy to have you. So we're going to give you the same treatment we give all of our guests. We're going to go through the rundown and see if you can handle it. All right, you ready for this?
Bring it. I'm ready. Ready as I'll ever be.
All right, your first question. What is your quest?
My quest.
Mm-hmm.
My quest is to, I guess my quest is to help not educate, but let everyone know about baseball, just to keep them updated, to let everyone in on the know, and just for baseball to spread, the love of the game to spread, the love that I have for everyone else to have.
Awesome. Next question. What is your favorite color?
It's gonna have to be Seahawk Navy and Seahawk bright green.
Ooh, Brad
Very
is
nice.
excited about that.
I am excited about that. I do love those colors.
And the Mariner teal.
Yeah, the Mariner teal is very nice. The Seahawks lime green, like I really like it a lot, but I do not like the lime green uniforms. When they go all lime, it's too much. It's too much.
Too much. I agree.
Yeah, too much of a good thing. There is such a thing. All right. If your team, the Seattle Mariners, same with mine, were a beverage, what would it be?
Mountain Dew.
Oh my
that
gosh.
was fast.
Dude. Oh my. You gotta be kidding. I literally went to the gas station right before this and I got a Mountain Dew. Like
2 Ps. Holy smokes.
See, I knew you were both heathens. I just knew it.
Oh, come on, Braid. You're just jealous. Not our fault.
Must be a Northwest thing. All right, go ahead, Brig.
Next question is, if you could name your dog after a baseball player at any era, it doesn't matter who it is, what would you name your dog?
Griffey.
Oof.
That is the correct answer.
Maybe Edgar, actually. Well, no, Edgar's not a dog name. Griffey.
You could name him Bone. Like Jay Buhner or Bone. Dog Bone. I don't know.
I would if I was gonna do Jay Buhner, I would just do Buhner.
Buhner, yeah. I think it's probably the right way to go there. Bone is too much of a dog pun to be a good dog name. I think you've got a valid point there.
And then I think of Brett Boone.
Oh yeah, we don't need Brett Boone.
No. We don't need all that. We don't
need to bring him in. Good choice. Griffey, I like it. Okay. What is your favorite 4th inning snack?
Ooh, if I'm in the 4th inning, I've already probably had too many sunflower seeds, but I still have them. I'm not really into peanuts, but I'm probably going like a cotton candy or a lemonade.
Very nice. Follow-up question real quick. How do you feel about the garlic fries at T-Mobile?
Out of this world. They shouldn't even be allowed to serve them. They're good.
They're the best. I say it all the time.
Hearing this.
I'm always talking about the garlic fries.
Brad. He's raving about them.
Yep.
Brig, you gotta try them. They just don't have them on the East Coast because you guys just can't do it like us. But
it's true. It's true. But I'll get out there one day and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
I heard Wrigley has some good ones too.
What's your favorite baseball life lesson or parallel to life?
Favorite baseball life lesson by far is patience. Kind of letting the life and the game come to you. Something that I've always learned. That's like one of the biggest things I took from the game is patience. And just applying it, because if you're watching the game, you got to be patient. If you're playing, you got to be patient. You got to and just be ready to attack when the opportunity's there. So I would say between those, that's it.
Awesome.
Solid.
Like that. It's solid. Yeah.
What is the name of your yacht?
Ooh. Man, I would have to go Kingdom.
Nice.
Kingdom.
That's a good one.
If you could grab a piece of MLB memorabilia, what is it? What you grabbing? For money's not an object.
Ooh, I want to say I want to grab that $65,000 Babe Ruth signed baseball Costco had. But no, I'm going the ball that Felix used when he tossed his perfect game.
Oh,
Solid.
brilliant.
That's really good. That is really, really good. I like that.
Or Ichiro's last hit, or the last bat he used in Japan.
Yeah. That would. Oh man, I don't even know how much that would cost. That would be unreal. Anyway,
I'll
all
settle
right.
with a cleat.
What's that?
I'll settle for a cleat from either one of those guys.
Even like a single spike, not even like the shoe,
Just-
like a single spike.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
All right. When it comes to hats, snapback, fitted, or flex fit.
So I have a problem with flex. No flat bill, no fitted. That's not me. I hate flex fit because my head is between a medium and a large. And so I have to do that thing when you roll. I have to roll up the back for it to fit, to like stay in
Yep.
place. So I
Yep.
do snapback, but I have to wear it at an angle because again, my head's won't fit.
I get it. Somehow, as I've aged, I've gotten to the point where my hats don't go on straight, like naturally anymore. I don't know what it is. And nothing makes me crazier than a crooked hat, especially on my own head. So I have to like put it on and then like center it, either look in the mirror or feel the sides of the bill,
Yes.
And oh man, I don't know what it is. Like as I've aged, I don't know if my head has changed shape or whatever, but yeah, it just doesn't go on straight anymore. And it drives me insane. Absolutely insane.
Agreed.
Okay, last question. What is your Korean baseball team of choice?
Oh, Korean. Kia Tigers? Are they KBO?
They are.
They are.
Ding,
Nice.
ding, ding.
Very good.
Nice.
Very good. It's the wrong
That's a good
answer, but
choice.
you got one. You got one.
You got
My first thought was Rakuten Eagles because Tanaka just re-signed with them. And that was like the latest NPB KBO thing that I've seen. And so I was like, Rakuten Eagles.
No,
Yeah.
we both decided that we were going to be Dinos fans, and the Dinos are the champs. So that's the right answer. But no, we'll give you credit for Kia Tigers. That's
The
perfect.
Dinos are where that's where Sungbum Na plays, right?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep, that's right. Yep, that's this hat that I have on is a nod to the NC Dinos at our shop.
Nice.
But anyways, all right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk some Negro Leagues with Jewell because he has some connections. So we're going to get into it.
No matter which ballpark you're at, you want to rep your team. Now you can with 9+ Us. Welcome to the Big City Series. With every design available in your team's colors, you can fit in with the home crowd or stand out on the road. Either way, we have the colors you crave. Shop the Big City Series and find designs that rep your favorite baseball podcast, cheer from the cheap seats, and much more. Shop the Big City Series only at 9plusus.com.
Welcome back, baseball family. We are here with Jewell. He has some connections with Negro Leagues baseball, and we wanted to give him a chance to tell us about his connections with that part of baseball's history and kind of introduce us to some of those topics. Jewell, why don't you tell us a little bit about your affiliations with the Negro Leagues?
Perfect. So I don't know if you guys this one's going on YouTube or not, but if YouTube, I don't know if they're seeing me or not, but first glance, you're probably thinking, how does this guy have affiliation with the Negro Leagues? I know these guys are thinking the same thing. I know these two are thinking the same thing. Like I told Brad, and he's like, he probably questioned his entire life. But so the whole backstory, I've always been a writer, right? I've always been writing since like middle school, just short stories, random stuff here and there. I've always loved baseball, always had love of the game. Played until I tore my UCL when I was a senior in high school. So up until then, always writing. You know, I knew I was part African American. I'm a quarter African American. But I thought it all was from my dad's side until a little bit when I was about 19, 20. I found out that my maternal grandfather was actually from Haiti, so Pacific Islander. But back in early America, during that whole time, didn't matter where you're from. It was just the color of your skin. So my great grandfather, he went by the name of Faye, Faye Young, or Frank Albert Young. He signed all his stuff Faye, and he's considered the dean of Negro sports writers. So he's a large part of the reason that we have a lot of the 1920s, 1930s Negro League history that we do, as well as a lot of African American boxers and sports writers. He really set the path for that. He was the founding member of the Chicago Tribune's Chicago Defender sports page. That's his crowning achievement. And he covered boxing. Baseball was his thing. He would ride on the train every day from Chicago to somewhere else. I can't remember. But during that time, he would get like the day before the next day's paper, because it would come out on the East Coast and he would be traveling west. So he would already have everything that happened the day before. So by the time he got further west and changed time zones, he was the first one bringing the news out to that side.
Wow.
So that was something really cool he did. Another
Sounds
story
like a one-man AP wire.
basically, but
Yeah.
1920s 30-40 style,
That's cool.
And so another kind of folklore story, not folklore because it's true. It's from my great aunt. She told the story because she was there, but he actually knew Jackie Robinson in Chicago. And they spoke, they had a relationship, and one day when Jackie, you guys have probably seen 42, all that fun stuff. So there was a time where he just wanted to quit, like before everything happened, before he signed, he just wanted to completely quit baseball, just be done, walk away, never look back at any athletic field again. And it was actually Faye who talked him into staying with baseball, to talk him into staying with it, to not give up, to not quit, and to keep going. So not that he's the whole reason, because Jackie's wife was a big part of it as well. But Jackie, from what I know from Faye, had a really small circle. It wasn't huge; it was really small, and Faye was part of that. So it's really cool. I do have to shout out Donna Halper from the SABR Bio Project. She wrote a full workup on Faye. That's actually a lot where I get a lot of my information from is her. She's super nice. She's just a nice, awesome person. And yeah, so just wanted to shout her out because she deserves a ton of credit. She's covered other female African American sports writers from around that same time that were influenced by Faye, and she has a lot of great work on the Saber Bio Project website. So
yeah,
That's
I'm pulling
awesome.
it up. It's Saber, SABR.org, and you
Yep.
can go to the bio project for Faye Young. Right, I'm looking at it right now. This is really well written. It's really well detailed. There's a bunch of cross referencing and footnoting and things like that. This is extensive. Very, very cool.
That's awesome. So, I mean, really, I feel like the big connection here is, I mean, we've all heard of the Negro Leagues, and part of what sparked this conversation between Jewell and I was when Major League Baseball announced that they were basically adopting the Negro Leagues into and considering them Major League Baseball teams, which means that guys who played in the Negro Leagues can be voted into the Hall of Fame, right? Is that exactly what that means?
That's part of it, but their stats are like included. So
Yeah.
their stats are part of baseball. So like Bob Gibson, a lot of Negro League historians consider him the actual home run king. He technically has the record, but MLB still working through all the stats from the Negro League, and there's so many different leagues of the Negro League and different time frames because they were shut down for a period of time, like they just stopped.
Yeah.
Right around World War II, and then they picked back up again, but then Jackie Robinson, and then more signings happened after that. So then they kind of just died out, and They were doing everything they could to bring in any athletes. They actually had women playing in the Negro Leagues for a period of time. And it was mixed in between. So MLB sorting. So technically, if you take that, then the MLB's technically had women play for it too, which
There
is
you go.
pretty cool from that. But yeah, it's interesting how it all relates. So we'll see how it unfolds. I assume it will happen over the next year. We'll see the stats kind of all come to the surface as they process them and whatnot.
Well, and you know,
that's a really exciting development.
yeah, and the first one that comes to mind for me is Satchel Paige, just because I mean you hear people talk about Satchel Paige like he was the greatest pitcher of all time, but he doesn't get any recognition because he didn't actually come into MLB until he was in his 40s, and but all that time he spent in the Negro Leagues, like he'll finally get recognition for that, and that's really
Exactly.
cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, and like Hank Aaron was the last player who just passed away. Rest in peace. But he was the last player to actually play in the Negro League and then in the MLB. So that's how recent like the Negro Leagues were in terms of like baseball history. Within the last 50 years, we finally gotten to the point in the MLB, which is nice to see the progression. It's nice. So.
It
Yeah.
really is.
So I recently visited the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City, and I've said it 100 times, but if you haven't had an opportunity to go do that, go do that. Just do what I do. Here's the right way: get a buddy, rent an RV that you've never done before, nothing like that, and drive 1,500 miles in one day, honestly, and then turn around, and come back. That's the right way to do it if you're going to do it. No, but it takes, honestly, you could spend 3 whole days perusing the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum and never get through the whole thing. It was a tremendous experience, start to finish. The history is like, I like to say it's carpeted in history, and it really feels that way. It's so dense.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to go to the Negro League Museum, Joel?
When I was a little kid, I was taken there probably when I was like 9 or 10, 8 or 9. I actually had family that lived in Kansas City. And so I remember going out there when I was like 9 or something. And I remember us going there when I was young, but I don't remember it. But I hope to go back in the nearish future.
Yeah, probably not nearly as significant to a 9-year-old especially as it would be now, knowing what you know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, at the time it's just a really cool baseball museum, but now like absolutely significant. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But Jewell, I actually have a few questions for you as
All
a
right.
Mariners fan to Mariners fan. Okay. I just want to
out.
switch gears here a little bit. Briggs a Yankees fan, so he can go do whatever he wants to do for a minute. But Jewell, I made a prediction. I want to get your opinion on this. I made a prediction earlier this year, or end of last year, something like that the Mariners are going to win a World Series this decade sometime.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. And I've actually been thinking that for about 2 years now. With the progress of the rebuild, kind of just how's everything's flowing, kind of where we're at. I mean, next off season, I think the Mariners have like 25 million in committed payroll before arbitration, and the opening day payroll from like 2017 or 18 was like 189 million. And so they have bukus of money to spend, especially after this offseason where they handed out maybe like 25 million in contracts total.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think if that. But no, I agree. I think the Mariners are the sleeping giant of the AL West. Just because of the talent that's coming. I mean, outfields are going to have Kyle Lewis, Jared Kelenic, and Julio Rodriguez by the end of this year, if not next year.
2 of those guys are top 5 prospects in Major League Baseball. The other one is just Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, like
right.
It's going to be the best outfield in baseball in 3 years.
And then we have a Gold Glove first baseman, a Gold Glove shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
We won't have Kyle Seager, but I wouldn't be shocked if he came back on a cheaper deal. hopefully
And
they figure something
I
out
could
at second.
actually see Seager. I could see the Mariners moving on from him or him retiring just because I mean, he's had kind of a resurgence the last 2 years. He's been fantastic. It's like he's refound his prime. But by the time the Mariners are ready to actually win, I don't know if they're either going to move on from him or if he's going to be ready to retire. And then if they're going to make that their big money spot, their big leadership spot, at third base. But
Yeah.
I feel like the problem is pitching. And I know that those guys are really young
Yeah.
right now, but you got to get that bullpen sorted out.
Yeah, the
Right?
bullpen. I think the rotation showed an insane amount of upside last year. Kikuchi, his ERA wasn't pretty or his fit, but
Oof.
you dig a little bit deeper. He only gave up like 3 home runs. His fastball velocity was average about 96. Just all his deeper metrics. You look a little bit deeper under the surface. He was a great pitcher. But of course, those things still happen. But he was great underneath the surface. And then you got Sheffield and Dunn, who looked decent last season, and then Margevicius looked surprisingly decent. But yeah, the bullpen's where they're going to have to spend some money.
Definitely, because I felt like they had games. They were in just about every game. I mean, there were guys who had their bad days, like they do, but they were in just about every game into the 5th, 6th, 7th inning, and the bullpen comes in, and it's a close game. You're like, no chance.
Yeah, no, it was. Chance. They were there too. They were there until the last day of the season. They finished 1 game away from the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then they were right there the whole time, and then it was so close. And even whatever they decide to do at third base and second base come this season, next season, because Seager's last year of his contract this year. So, we'll kind of see, and hopefully we'll see something from Mitch Haniger and Tom Murphy coming back. So should be an exciting year. The AL West is looking bleak come 2022, especially. So.
Yep. And that's
Easy
one thing I talked
pickings.
about. That's one thing I talked about the Mariners too, is that it feels like Jerry Dipoto had it timed out just right that the prospects will hit when the Astros have to get rid of everybody because they don't want to pay anybody.
Yep.
Right? So here's hoping. I'm glad that I'm not the only one who's like wildly optimistic about the Mariners' chances, because sometimes I feel like I'm the only one, especially with what I see on social media.
I'm excited for Logan Gilbert this year. Hancock some point, hopefully next year. George Kirby. There's just so many rotation pieces. There's just not enough bullpen pieces to go around, but there's plenty still available. I'm kind of shocked they haven't even tried to go after like a Rosenthal or someone just out there to improve a little bit on a 2-year, 3-year deal, 2-year deal. So.
Yep,
it'll be interesting to see what happens. Brig, you started to say something. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to give Jewell a chance to talk about his blog. It's the ballboyblog.com, correct?
Yes, correct.
Now, you're giving up-to-date baseball information on there. I see a blog post here from, 4 hours ago. Now, obviously, this isn't...
that one was supposed to go out this morning, but I put 8 p.m. and not a.m. on my schedule.
Hey, man,
we all do
know about that.
So, yeah, that latest one's my power rankings that I just started about 3 weeks ago. So, yeah, the whole blog started. It was actually supposed to start as a podcast about a year ago with a friend of mine. And, it ended up not working out, but I already had like 25 pieces of content just ready. So I went through, I edited them to make into blog posts, and then started posting them, and this kind of kept going. And then this year, back in October or August, I actually switched over to its own website that I built through Wix. And then started adding on, the power rankings, all my yearly reviews, weekly around the horn, which is all the news from around the league for the last week. Just kind of recap real quick. I got some fantasy baseball stuff started and going out for each position on your targets and where you should target them. In my opinion, obviously I'm not a professional, but I've been playing fantasy baseball for about 12 years. So,
wow.
Nice.
So I have just a good variety of different content on the blog. Um, so it's been a lot of fun over the last year or so to kind of go through it and just stay up to date and research. It's definitely a nice stress reliever and something just to kind of look forward to be able to do. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
it's in my
like
blood.
that.
It's in
We
my
totally
blood.
get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that you've been at fantasy baseball for, what'd you say, 12 years? That's a
Yep.
lot more than I can say. Let me
Yeah.
think back on how many times I've played fantasy baseball.
So
None.
I've
It's
won
too
3 champion.
complicated for me.
It's the chess. It's chess.
Yeah.
A
Mhm.
But
fantasy
with
sport.
400 chess pieces, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a
Exactly.
lot.
And I
So to
enjoy it.
have
I usually play in like 2 or 3 leagues every year.
wow, seriously.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
Different formats.
for the people listening, then, if you need insights into fantasy baseball, I mean, this is where I would start looking. If Brad tried to talk me into playing fantasy baseball or whatever, I would
well,
probably
and I
go to
was gonna
Jewell's
say,
blog.
you say that you're not a fantasy professional, but let's be honest, the professionals aren't really professionals either. Because I play
True.
fantasy football every year, and I don't listen to the professionals. I do the opposite of what they tell me because it seems to work out better. So
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely one of my best years of my first championship I ever won. And Briggs might or might not like this. It was when our longtime Seattle Mariner A-Rod came back from steroids, and he was hitting like 285. He hit like 20 home runs, down the stretch, and he was like just so consistent that year. And I think A-Rod has one of the best swings since forever. If you just look at his swing, it is pretty. Before steroids, after steroids, uh, it was there. And so New York Yankee A-Rod led me to my first fantasy baseball championship.
Oh, I'm
so
happy for you, but I'm confused.
I was
That's
too,
fine.
but a championship's a championship,
Yeah, that's right. You
So-
parked the
I
ship
took
in the
it.
harbor.
Jewel, I have an A-Rod question for you then. So if you can put your fantasy baseball feelings aside against A-Rod, would you, given everything, would you put A-Rod in the Hall of Fame?
I would absolutely. I actually just wrote a Hall of Fame piece of the results. So that came on. The Hall of Fame was announced on the 26th of January with 0 inductees, as we know. Kurt Schilling should have been inducted, but on that I put my 10 guys who I thought should have been in the Hall of Fame, who I would have voted for, and that includes Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Gary Sheffield, um, Andy Pettit. All 4 of those guys are connected to steroids. And, we could go on this forever, but I think just how inconsistent the commissioners have been over the decades between Sealing and Manfred for punishments. I mean, you look at the Astros, but you look at Pete Rose, and then you look at steroids. But what it comes down to is got to add that in, but you also have to account for what they did on the field and how they did it on the field. There was 40, 50, 60, 70 plus players juicing during that time, and Clemens and Bonds and Sosa just did it better, in my opinion. I think they just did it better. And there's so many players doing it. There's so many. So it's hard to argue against the ones that were great at it and truly used it to enhance the performance, and guys who just use it one off and had one great year, like Brett Boone, for example, and guys who did it for 20 years. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
I
I think
understand
there's
that
a
argument totally with the field being level with so many guys juicing, and those guys were still that much better. I understand the argument. Doesn't mean I
Yeah.
have to like it, but I understand it. Sorry, go
right.
ahead,
and the
Brad.
And
thing is,
I was
oh, go
going to say
ahead.
there's for sure there's a lot of people that agree with you. So you're definitely not alone in your opinions.
And Clemens never tested positive, Bonds never tested positive, and the guys that did test positive, A-Rod, he took a suspension and then he came back and still played. He took it, he owned it. But then you get a guy like Manny Ramirez who's still getting votes, but he had that second test and he was supposed to be out a whole year, and he just decided to retire instead of take the punishment.
Yeah.
That's where it kills it for Manny Ramirez for me. But next year's ballot is juiced. I mean, you got A-Rod coming on, David Ortiz coming on. Like, it's literally juiced. Like, Bonds, Clemens, Schilling in their 10th year, and it just it's going to be hard to not elect all these players.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah.
Good thing it's done by percentage.
Yeah. With 14 blank ballots that get to be considered. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Jewell, I just have one more question for you. Speaking of the whole steroids thing, A-Rod, all that, have you read the book Bloodsport?
I have not. I've heard of it.
It's the A-Rod biogenesis story.
Okay.
I highly recommend getting on it ASAP because it's like a crime thriller. It reads like a crime thriller. It's amazing. We chosen not to talk about it just because, as its own episode, just because there are certain aspects of that we feel like we cannot share our opinion because we might not make it through the next week living. So, it's really good. It's a really good book.
Yeah, but when it comes to A-Rod in particular, like, he was great before steroids when he was a Mariner, and then went into the early part of his Rangers career, and then into his Yankees career. He came back from it. He came back from the steroids and still put up, consistent numbers into his late 30s. So it was that sustained period of great play. That's kind of what the argument is for A-Rod. I think A-Rod is a Hall of Famer. You take the steroids out of it, before or after, he would have been there.
Even with the slap, though. I mean, come on, man. I mean, he was in pinstripes and everything. It's like, you should, like, whoops, you shouldn't have done that. You lose points, but then you did it in pinstripes, and now you're like bottom of the barrel. Like,
I mean,
there should be
any player who puts on pinstripes is bottom of the barrel. So,
whoa, oh boy, wow,
I walked right into that. Shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, they just get hurt. You trade for them from the Marlins, and they just hurt, and you're paying them $30 million a year. I mean,
he's listened to you, Bray.
I know.
You
know what I just feel like just happened? I just feel like I feel like I charged the man against Nolan Ryan, and I just got put in a headlock and got the noogies.
Or you just got a Mariano Rivera slider or cutter. I mean,
oh man, that was amazing.
That was epic, man. That
All
was
right,
so good.
let's get out of here on that
note.
That was fantastic.
Right.
Again, check out Jewell's blog, theballboyblog.com. Sounds like he's got some great content on there. Go take a look and check it out. He'll have some great stuff for you. Jewell, thanks again for joining us. That was fantastic.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Listeners, listen to these guys, follow them. These guys are great. And go order some Raise Energy while you're at it. So
that's right,
no doubt.
It'll help you make great friends. Like
that's
Griggs
the
and
true
Brad
fact.
Here. So
and you can hear light at the same. It's good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jewell.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jewell.
All right, a big thank you to Jewell Young of the Ballboy blog. We really appreciated him coming on with us. But before we get going, we wanted to remind you to jump on 9plusus.com, jump on the shop. We got some great stuff on there for you. I'm going to tell you right now, Brig and I have been working really hard to get some stuff together for you, some really cool stuff that's coming down in the next couple months. We will keep you updated on that. And, well, actually, I'll be honest, there's going to be a big, I guess you could say a hullabaloo when it all comes down. Got some fun stuff coming for you. We're really excited. Don't forget to jump on baseballtogether.com where you can watch the podcast. You can listen to the podcast. Give us a like, subscribe, rate, review wherever you can on any of your podcasting apps. And baseball family, we will catch you next week.